Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Don Gulling, CEO of Verteks Consulting. Appreciate you joining us this morning. Looking forward to sharing some content with you and talking to you about, Mitel Connect and some of the features and options that are available. I do want to let you know we are going to monitor the questions panel, and we're also going to monitor the chat panel to the max extent possible, and try to include everything we can in the training session. So I want to start by introducing, he's on the line, but he's on mute, Robert Hipkey. Robert is our client success manager focused on Mitel, and Robert's responsibilities include, contacting our Mitel clients to let them know that training is coming. I know a lot of you on the call were contacted by Robert already, so you'll see his calls and emails. Robert's also a great source of information for anything you've got, just a product question or a feature question. And while he may not have all the answers himself already, he does have access to our entire team, and he's been very responsive in getting answers to people and getting back to them very quickly. So please use him as a resource, and he'll be glad to help you out as best he can. In the lead up to this training today, several of our clients asked us to include training about different call routing options, including hunt groups and work groups. So we're going to focus heavily on that today because that's been requested by multiple clients. But again, I will be monitoring the chat and the questions windows. So if you've got other things that you want us to cover during this training, please pop them into either chat or questions, and we'll do our level best to include it in today's session. So Happy New Year. Welcome to 2021. This is our first training of the year. Brittany has published our training schedule for the year already online. So you'll see that we've got a training every month, and each month we're focused on a different primary topic. This year we're mixing it up a little bit. Every first month, like this month, we're doing, Connect and Connect features. Then we'll be doing kind of advanced admin features, and then we'll be doing contact center. And then we're going to rotate it just like that every 3 months throughout the year. We're going to record all of them, post them on YouTube as we always do, and then we'll send you a link, and we'll let you know that those are out there available to view on demand whenever you like. So for today's training, again, our primary focus at request was to cover hunt groups, configuration options and usage, work groups, configuration options and usage, and also reporting on both of those. So it's easier to determine, how calls are being handled and what the call dispositions are. And for reporting, we're going to show both the integrated reporting built into Mitel kind of for free, and we're also going to show BrightMetrics because, about half of our clients are using BrightMetrics as well. Wanted to reiterate that if you're on Mitel Connect and you've done the Connect migration, you can now run the new Mitel handsets. You don't have to make any changes here. You can continue to use the phones you have today, soft phones, the 200 series phones, the 400 series phones, they all still work. Mitel has done a great job of maintaining that compatibility as we've had these upgrades, so you don't have to replace handsets. I know that's expensive. But we've had several clients ask us to do handset refreshes. I wanted to show you again what those options are. We've got these 4 primary handsets, or the new ones, the 6900 series. This one here at the end is the most expensive one. This is a touch screen. I use it myself because I wanted to have one to try out, and I like it. It's nice. The thing I like about it the most, though, is this Bluetooth handset. The Bluetooth handset's made a big difference just because there's no cord. I really hated tangled cords. So if you want to get a Bluetooth handset, you can do it in the touchscreen model, or you can do it in the regular model. This is essentially the same Bluetooth capable, cordless handset. This is not a touchscreen. You'll see those buttons here, just like a traditional Mitel handset. So it's button based, not touchscreen. Other than that, fantastic phone, great speaker phone, very loud volume, and of course available with the Bluetooth handset or with a corded handset. And then taking a step down, this is more of a entry-level color touchscreen or color phone, corded only, no Bluetooth option, and then more of like a lobby phone down here on the end. Not a big fan of this one, mostly because it still has paper labels. And anybody who's been using phones for a long time knows these paper labels are a serious pain in the neck, because as any extension changes, you got to go back there and change that label out, and that's just a hassle. There are some accessories. We do have a sidecar for operators and for people that have a lot of call handling. It plugs right into the side of the phone, draws power from the phone. It lays out the same way as the phone. It matches up so it looks really good, and it conserves space. It's not too wide. It's very nice. It's full color, and it has 3 different tabs, so you can have quite a few extensions on there. This next one I really like is a Bluetooth speakerphone, rechargeable battery-based Bluetooth speakerphone. So it's got a USB cable permanently attached. You can plug it into the back of the new Mitel handsets. It charges the included battery. Then unplug it. The USB cable kind of wraps around the base. Looks really neat. And then you can take it and use it anywhere in your office, nearby. It is Bluetooth. It has a stand on it. It can answer calls, hold volume up, down. You just cannot place calls from it. But great if you want like a huddle space and you want a USB phone or a Bluetooth phone. Works fantastic. Very good audio quality. Of course, the Bluetooth handset we mentioned, you can add it to this phone. It comes standard with that one. We have a great headset, which I'm using myself. I'm not on it today. I'm on my speaker on my computer today. But when I take phone calls on my Mitel phone, I do use my headset. This is nice because it docks right on the side. It physically kind of clicks in to the side of the phone, draws power from the phone, so there's no cables or connectors or anything like that. Super easy to set up. There's like a little screw on the back of the Mitel phone. You unscrew it. This thing kind of snaps in, and you're done. It's that simple. And then jumping to this last one, this is a Wi-Fi adapter that lets you, if you've got local power over Ethernet, connect your Mitel phone via Wi-Fi. The benefit here, obviously, teleworkers or people in areas that are, don't have access to wired Ethernet. So if you've got a remote worker at home and you don't have, copper plugged in, you give them a power over Ethernet brick, you give them this Wi-Fi adapter. This Wi-Fi adapter connects to the Wi-Fi network, and now their Mitel phone is on Wi-Fi. So those are some options that are out there for you. Again, you don't have to do any upgrades. You can stick with the phones you have. We have had several people ask us to show those again, so there they are. So on to the live training. I'll keep an eye on the chat and the questions panels, but I want to dive right into hunt groups, work groups, and reporting on those. And so I'm going to pull up Director and go on that now. So let me pull up Chrome and drag over a browser here. What I've done is I've logged into my Mitel Connect Director screen. So anybody who's used Director before will probably recognize this. This is the diagnostics and monitoring page. It's the default page when you first log in. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I did want to remind you that you got a dashboard update frequency here, hour, 12 hours, day, 7 days, 30 days. When you change this, it'll show you, 7 days of diagnostics or 30 days of diagnostics. Typically, you don't have to look at this. That's what we're here for. So I don't recommend you spend a lot of time here. But if you want to know what it is, we've got some other YouTube videos out there you can check out. Today, I'm going to focus, like I said, heavily on hunt groups and work groups. But the first thing I want to show you is this documentation tab. So if you click on this documentation tab, you'll see there's a Mitel Doc Center link. Click that link, and it pulls up the latest and greatest Mitel documents from the Mitel webpage. In there, you're going to see, Connect 19.2 and so on. The very first link is the Mitel My Voice Connect platform. That's the latest platform. That's where most of the documents are if you're on this version. Click on that. I don't know why it's going so slow, but oh, geez. That's not my webpage, by the way. That's the Mitel one. Try it one more time. Click on that. Oh, that's weird. I literally just downloaded something from it. So let me just let me pivot over to what I just downloaded. I literally just downloaded this right before the class. This is that Mitel My Voice Connect System Admin Guide. So when you go to that link, I don't know what's going on with it now, but when you go to that link, you're going to see a bunch of different documents up there. The one you want to focus on is the one that's called the System Administration Guide. There's one up there called Planning and Installation. That's not the one you want. That one is primarily for us. You could go look at it. It is sometimes super technical, and it's focused on net new installations, not maintaining them over time. Also, someone of my clients just mentioned she had the same link when she tried to click on it, so we'll notify Mitel about that. So the System Admin Guide is what you're going to look at. The reason I bring that up is in the System Admin Guide, if you want to really get in depth, you'll see it goes over director, parameters, security, site configuration, switches, trunks, phones, call control options, including bridge call appearances, account codes, all those kinds of things. Hunt groups, which is right here, configuring hunt groups. It has a big section on work groups as well, right down here. So Workgroups has 20 pages of data in this guide. So I'm not going to bore you with this paperwork, but I do want to let you know it's out here. And the reason is this is something that can really help you out after the fact. I'm going to click on Hunt Group and you'll see it'll take you right to it, and it'll show you, all the different available options. Let's do a space there. Hunt Group. So configuring hunt groups for a multi-site work group, et cetera, and so on. So a lot of options. So let's go into hunt groups. It's over here on the wrench. If you don't know where to go, you can always go to this search and you'll find it right here by searching for hunt groups, and it'll take you to the hunt groups section. So a couple things I want to highlight with hunt groups, just so we're all aware again. Hunt groups reside on either physical Mitel switches or on Mitel virtual switches. So they are switch-based, not server-based. If it's on a physical switch, Mitel's limit is a hunt group with no more than 16 members per physical switch. If you go to a virtual, you can expand that. The reason I mention this is you can get yourself into some trouble if you have physical switches and you put too many hunt groups on it. The Mitel will let you do it. It does not stop you from making that mistake, unfortunately. And so we've got a lot of clients who end up having kind of oddball behaviors with their hunt groups. We go look at it and we found out they got a switch that's been overloaded because they've set up, literally, I've seen people set up 20 hunt groups on a switch. Mitel will let you do that. I know that's a major problem, but they don't stop you from it. They're expecting that people that go in here to directory to use hunt groups are kind of aware of the dangers. So what you'll see on ours, we have a bunch of different hunt groups up here on the top, and they reside on a vPhone switch. Now, a vPhone switch is a Mitel switch, but it resides in VMware. When you set up a vPhone switch, the initial setup of that switch requires a no-charge license, so it's a free license. We can do it for you via remote support. You can do it yourself. It's not that hard. And that vPhone switch is a free virtual phone switch. You can put a ton of hunt groups on it. You can also put conference bridge ports and other things on there, so it's a nice added feature. You can also use a vPhone switch as a dedicated spare if a switch dies. So a lot of great benefits for no charge. It's very nice. You only have to pay for it when you start putting phones on it. So if you put phones on it, you have to buy virtual phone licenses. That said, you can see all the hunt groups we've got here, and you can see the numbers of members per hunt group. Let me jump on this one real quick. You'll see a group here called Backup HG. When I click on it, at the bottom, you see a second pane that shows this 1401 Backup HG. Over on the right, there's a little button that's called Expand Details. When I click that, it makes the details panel the entire page. I like to do that because it gives me a better view of it, and I can kind of see all the settings in one window. So you want to toggle back, you hit split here, or collapse, and now it shows you groups at the top, details at the bottom. So that's all I did was I clicked backup, then I bounced over here to show details. Now I can see all the details of the backup group. Every hunt group has a name. The Mitel system automatically assigns it an extension. There's also a backup extension. Now, what the benefit of the backup extension is if the work group is ever down for any reason and someone dials that work group extension, the Mitel will go to the backup extension. A backup extension can be a hunt group on another switch, or it could be an individual user. In this case, as you'll see, we've got it listed as an individual user, in this case, John Childers. So John's phone is the backup for the, this specific hunt group. The hunt group lives on a virtual switch. If our VMware was down, heaven forbid, let's hope that doesn't happen. But if VMware were ever down, then somebody dials the hunt group, John's phone will ring. That's what a backup extension does for you. You'll see here there's an option for DID settings for a direct dial number straight to the hunt group. We're not using that here because that backup hunt group is kind of like a hidden group that we use for our own purposes. Down below, it says include in system dial by name directory. As a lot of you are aware, when you dial into a Mitel system, if you choose the option for directory, Mitel automatically kind of updates that directory as users and extensions are added, and you can search by first name or last name. If this box is checked and it's included in the dial by name directory, then a remote user that goes into your directory can kind of type some digits or letters, and it will find this as an option to dial. That's what it means. Unchecking it kind of conceals it from the directory, and people cannot dial it from that directory. Switch. In this case, as you see, we've got it on the vPhone switch. We could also move it to a different physical switch. Call stack depth. Call stack depth is how many simultaneous calls can be in the group ringing at the same time. Once a call is answered out of the group, it's no longer in the call stack. So 8 is pretty big. A little kind of an admin trick here. That call stack depth affects the switch resources as well. So when I've got a hunt group and I have 16 members and I'm got a call stack depth of 8 calls, I'm actually consuming 128 simultaneous resources if all 16 members are ringing all at the same time with that many calls. So essentially, I'd hope impossible, but it is a multiplying factor. Typically, what we recommend is to set these call stack depths at the minimum that you need it to be. Rarely would you ever need it to be 8. Typically 4 is a more realistic number, or even 2. 8 is just a default setting. It'll put it there automatically for you. Next, distribution pattern. So distribution pattern is the setting to determine how you want those calls to be routed. There's an option for top-down, and there's an option for simultaneous. Let me flip this for a moment to top-down and click this, or save it first. Go to top-down and go to members. When I'm in top-down and I'm looking at my members, these are my selected members. Here's all of them right here. It's going to start with this person at the top, Ryan Arellano. Ryan's one of our pre-sales system engineers. Then it's going to go to Jenna, Paul, John, Don. You get the point. That's top down. That's why when I go over here and I choose my name, I've got an up and down arrow to move myself up and down. That changes the call routing for top down. So in a top down environment, you're going to need to go to the members tab and then choose the members you want and reorganize them so that they're in the order that you like. I would probably make this, Ryan, John, Don, yada, yada, yada. That's our top down. I click save. And now that's my top down call routing setting for that group. In top down, it'll first ring the first member this many rings. Here it shows a setting of 6 rings. That's an extreme number of rings for a hunt group. And the reason I say that is each ring takes about 6 seconds. So you're talking over a half a minute of ringing. Typically what I would say is I would set it to 3 or 4 per member. That's a more realistic setting. If you set it to 3 rings per member and then you hit save, now what it's going to do in top down, it's going to ring the first member 3 times. Then it's going to go to the second member and ring 3 times. And then this no answer number of rings is going to kick in because it's been 6 rings and no one has answered. On the no answer number of rings, it's going to choose the next call routing step. And that's this one, no answer. On no answer, what do I do? If no destination is specified, calls will disconnect after 2 minutes, meaning it'll ring for basically 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, it'll disconnect. That's what no answer does. Alternatively, believe it or not, for no answer, you can send it right back to the same hunt group. Just like that. And it'll loop forever. Wouldn't recommend that, but there may be some unusual situations where you require that to happen. Let's go back up here and change this now from top down to simultaneous. I'm going to hit save. In simultaneous, what's going to happen is all of these members are all going to ring all at the same time. You're going to literally have 16 phones all ringing at once, or 12, or however many are in that group. So it's going to create a lot of noise, and it's going to have a lot of ringing. I want to give you a cautionary tale of using either one of these, but focusing primarily on simultaneous. So we're in, COVID times, and we have a lot of folks working either remotely from their home or working via cell phone potentially. If I'm a hunt group member and I'm working out of my house and I'm using my cell phone for extension assignment, so on my Connect client, I've set it to send all my calls to my cell. When the hunt group rings, it's going to ring my cell phone. That's by design. That said, if I don't answer my cell phone, what happens? My cell phone voicemail picks up. That's where these rings are critical. So rings per member. If my cell phone is set to go to voicemail after 2 rings, and this rings per member is set to 3 or more rings, then possibly when someone dials the hunt group, it goes to my cell phone, it's going to go to my voicemail. The Mitel system is going to let that call go through because it's considering it answered because it's got somebody picking up and talking. So it's possible if somebody's got their phone set to call their cell and they're in a hunt group and their rings are set in the right way, that calls are just going to go into their cell phone voicemail. So be aware when you're doing these hunt groups that if you've got users working remotely via cell phone, you got to really be careful about the rings and the call disposition. So let's cover some other settings here. You saw the rings per member and no answer number of rings. Those are the 2 most critical ones, right? So if you wanted to do a top down, right, I would say set rings per member at maybe 2, and then set the no answer number of rings at, 6 or 8. If you set this for 2 and then set this for 8 and you're in top down, that means 4 different users are going to have a shot at answering that call. That's what top down gives you. If you set this for 16, that means 8 different users. It'll bounce around to up to 8 people. Just keep in mind that the person dialing in, they're going to hear all those rings. So they're going to probably get annoyed. 16 rings is a lot. I would recommend not doing that. I'd say, 6 or 8, you're probably safe. More than that, you're probably not. Jumping here to call member when forwarding all calls. Now, this is the answer or the comment I made about the cell phone. If I've set my phone up to call forward all calls to a different number, Do you want the hunt group to follow that or not? That's the choice that you'll have to make. So you do need to look at your group membership and determine how people are using their phone and if you want that to go to the call forward destination or not. Next one, skip member if already on a call. So what this does, let's say you've got a group with 12 people in it and they do other things besides take hunt group calls. In that scenario, do you want the hunt group to ring their phone when they're on the phone? I've seen it set both ways. A primary reason I've seen it set for yes is in a reception hunt group. Let's say you got an office that has kind of a traditional reception position, and you've got someone up there that's taking in a high volume of calls and then transferring them or routing them to other people. Typically, they'll actually check this box. They'll uncheck this box, and they will not skip the member if already on a call. And the reason is they want the receptionist or the operator to see a second line, be able to go to that second line, let them know they'll be right with them, bounce back, kind of handle the first call, then go to the second one. So just remember, those are some options there you'll need to consider when you're looking at your call routing. Call stack is full, what to do. Remember earlier we set the call stack, 4 is a good number. You can set it higher if need be. If the call stack is full, where you want it to go. It's essentially like a busy destination. If no one answers, where would you like it to go? You can have it go to an auto attendant menu. You could have it go to another hunt group. You can have it go to an extension. Those are all things you'll need to consider when you look at your call routing. There's also an off hours and holiday destination because you can attach a schedule to a hunt group. An off hours or holiday destination would mean customers dial in and maybe you've got a hunt group for customer service or sales or support. They choose that hunt group option and it's a holiday or off hours. Where do you want it to go? Typically where they wanted to go to was a mailbox and take a message, or sometimes an auto attendant menu to tell them, hey, we're currently closed. Here are some options. So all those choices are available to you. Last couple of things, there is an on hours schedule. If a hunt group is set to no schedule, that means it's always on. It's never closed. That's what no schedule does for you. If there is a schedule set, like this one, we have an on hour schedule for our system. It's set to like 7:30 to 5:30, Monday to Friday. If it's set to on hours, it'll perform, during on hours. Off hours, then I could go back and say, all right, go to 1450. That's my personal extension. That'd be an option you could set. I'm going to change this back to none. And then a holiday schedule. Holidays, as you know, if you've ever attended our other webinars, are different than on hours. Holiday schedules let you pick a day far in advance that's a holiday, Christmas, Labor Day, whatever, Independence Day. And then on that holiday, the entire system is closed. So hunt groups can be tied to those same schedules, or they can be, again, on 24/7. So those are all the options on the main hunt group page and explanations of all of them. Also, just to reiterate, you can go back to the admin guide, and then you'll see in here configuring hunt groups starting on page 217, and it will show you every single option in here, what they do, what the purposes of them are, the explanations of everything, the distribution pattern, rings per member, no ring number of answer. It's really great, in my opinion, documentation. So don't forget that if you ever want to dig into it deeper. On the members tab, not a lot to show you here. I already showed you the member list is the selected group. You can add members literally by going over here, finding somebody. Let me change this to 50 per. Scroll down and go to, let's go to Brittany. She's not in there. And then we hit the arrow. Now Brittany is a member and she's automatically at the bottom of the list. If you want to put her at the top, because you're doing top down, you want to answer, you just keep clicking this arrow until she goes to the top. Now Brittany's at the top of the list and she's in the backup hunt group. It's really that simple. When you're done making your changes, you click save. You can also go back to collapse details and now you can see all your hunt groups at the top and all your settings at the bottom. So that's it for hunt groups. I'm going to continue to monitor chat and questions. If anybody has any, please post them in there, and we'll make sure we try to address them during the training session. Let's pivot over to Workgroups. So Workgroups is also under features. It has its own kind of tab here. And this is where you configure Workgroups. So what I'm going to show you is a couple of things. First, I'm going to show you some of the stuff in Director, and then I'm going to show you some of it in the client. So prior to doing this training today, I went ahead and set up this new Mitel training workgroup. I just set it up this morning. I just clicked New. I typed in a name for it and set the settings. So same as Hunt Groups, you've got the list of groups at the top, the details at the bottom, and you've also got that button, the expand details button. So I'm in the Mitel training group now. I did expand details. This is the general tab. Don't forget, right, that in the admin guide, you have a ton of information on Workgroups. I think it starts on page like 200 and something. Let me scroll down here real quick, just so I can quickly show you. Yeah, 344. It's a big document. So configuring Workgroup starts on page 344. That's a clickable link. This takes you through in 20 pages, kind of everything you'd ever want to know about Workgroups. Super detailed, very, very in-depth. You can possibly cover 20 pages of information in this, so I'm going to kind of hit the highlight reel. Every workgroup has a name. Mitel automatically assigns an extension. In this case, it given 1926. Then there's a backup extension. Just like with a Hunt group, if the work group is unavailable, what extension should it go to? Here's a big difference though. Work groups are server-based, not switch-based. So work groups live on the HQ server unless you've got a large multi-site system or you've got something called a DVS. You would probably know if you did. A DVS is like a second HQ server. There's really only one HQ, but it's kind of a backup or distributed server. Workgroups can live on those DVSs. So workgroups do not live on switches. They live on servers. So a typical best practice is for a backup extension for a workgroup to make it a Hunt group on a switch. And the reason is that gives you some resilience if your Windows server was ever down. So we would typically say set up a workgroup on a Windows server, your HQ box, set up a backup Hunt group with the same members and make that your backup extension. That way, if the Windows server was ever down, it goes straight to the Hunt group. Obviously not the same features, but the same folks are there and they can still get those calls. So that's the backup extension. Same kind of settings as a Hunt group in terms of dial by name directory, extension privacy, and then a DID setting if you want to have calls assign a DID to go directly to a work group. That's the same as the Hunt group. Here you'll see this belongs on a server now. Remember on the Hunt group it said switch, and it tells you here's all your server options that it can live on. What language it's in. You can load multiple languages. We'd have to do that for you. That's not going to be covered in this class, but you can load multiple languages. There's an enable mailbox checkbox. I'm going to talk more about that in a minute, but essentially what it lets you do is have a workgroup mailbox, not an individual mailbox. And the workgroup mailbox, any workgroup member can check the same box. That's really nice if you want to allow a caller to leave a message for the group. And then whoever in the group is available can grab that message and respond. If you do not have enable mailbox checked, you'll just remember that if the work group is not answered, where do you want the call to go so the caller has some options at the end. What mailbox server do you want it on if you have multiple ones? And then the work group name can also have an audio recording, and that's for the dial by name directory. So as an example, this one, if I included it in the system dial by name directory by checking this box, I also want to record a name announcement, which would say Mitel training, and that's it. And then if somebody ever dialed it from the extension or from the directory, they'd actually hear that that's the name of it. So that's what that's for. Down here at the bottom, there's a checkbox that reads enable automatic agent logout on ring no answer. So I want to talk about that for 1 minute because I want to explain why you may or may not want to do it. In a more formal contact center where you've got agents sitting at desks, all day ready to take calls, and that's their only job function. If their phone rings, they should always answer it, right? That's the job. In Workgroups, some people use Workgroups as kind of a formal call center. They've got Workgroup members. They want Workgroup members to log in and log out during the day. They want them to take every call that's presented. In that situation, if I'm a Workgroup member and I'm away from my desk because I went to lunch or the bathroom or whatever, if a call rings my extension and I don't answer it, do you want director to take them out of the Workgroup and log them out? You might, because you don't want callers getting sent to the same Workgroup member again and again if that person's not there. So that's one reason you might want to do it. However, you may be in a situation where you don't want to check this. You still want the calls to go there. It really depends on how you're using the Workgroup and what the purpose of it is. Be glad to talk to you one-on-one about that. Feel free to call me anytime and I can explain to you kind of more in depth, or we can help you design the Workgroup. That's definitely something we're glad to do. So I'm gonna leave those settings as is. That's the main page. Next, I'm gonna go to call routing. This is really where the magic happens for Workgroups. And then I'm gonna, in a minute, show you some of the stuff in action. In Workgroups, under routing, you've got on hours, off hours, holiday, and custom. So each Workgroup, by definition, also has its own schedule. Here's the on hours. Here's the on hour schedule. Here's the off hours. By definition, off hours is everything this is not. So it's the opposite of the on hours. Then there's holiday. I'm going to choose the VCI holidays. And there's a custom schedule. Right now, there's none. So each Workgroup has its own schedule. I do want to reiterate, you can get yourself into a little bit of trouble here if you create a custom schedule for a Workgroup that's different than your regular schedule. There's some reasons you might want to do that. In that situation, you might call and say, hey, my Workgroup's not getting any phone calls. Well, it might be a schedule issue. So just make sure you check those. So let's assume we're doing a kind of a regular on-hour schedule, and then we're looking at our distribution pattern. And if you recall, on Hunt groups, we had top-down and simultaneous. Those are the only options available on Hunt groups, top-down and simultaneous. In Workgroups, you can also add round robin or longest idle. My kind of favorite one is probably longest idle. What longest idle lets you do is the Workgroup maintains data on all the members and how long each member has been idle. The one member in the group that's been idle the longest, that's the person that's going to get the next call. The benefit of longest idle is it helps throughout the day, it helps even out the call distribution. So calls are distributed more equitably, more evenly across all those members. So that's what longest idle lets you do. Top down and simultaneous, we've already covered. They're the exact same kind of functionality. The next is round robin. Round robin is kind of another way of doing a call distribution somewhat evenly. And so what round robin would be, let's say the membership for the group is Don, Robert, Brittany, and Ryan. We have 4 members, and that's the order that those members are in: Don, Robert, Brittany, Ryan. The first call of the day is going to go to Don first. Second call is going to go to Robert. Third call is going to go to Brittany. Fourth call is going to go to Ryan. Fifth call is going to go to Don. Sixth call is going to go to Robert. You get the idea. It's just a circle. In that scenario, if I don't answer, it's also going to go to the next person. So in round robin, it'll go to Don unless he doesn't answer, in which case it goes to Robert. So round robin distributes calls so the call count is more even, whereas longest idle is based on talk time. So both of them are kind of valid and both of them distribute calls in a different way. If you're doing round robin, you got to remember, you got to look at your member list and do a member list sort, because that's how round robin is going to be determined. It's going to look at your member list and do it hierarchically based on that member list. So I'm going to leave this, let's put it at longest idle. There's a call forward option, no answer or busy or always. If you do a call forward always, it's just like your desktop phone. It's just going to always call forward to call. If there's no answer or busy, where do you want it to go? Busy, queue it. No answer, queue it. Workgroups have queues, and the caller will stay in the queue and hear queue messaging. Hunt groups do not have queues. That's a major difference between the two. So a queue means the caller is sitting there, hearing hold music, hearing custom prompts, right? Waiting for the next agent. That's a big benefit of the workgroup. Hunt groups, there is no queuing. Down here, forward after, that means no one's answered. What do I do? How many rings? Rings per agent. I've set this one to 2. In a rings per agent scenario, how many times you want that desk phone to ring before it goes to the next agent? If the agent's doing his or her job and they're sitting at their desk and they're logged in, the phone rings, they should be answering it. So 2 rings should be plenty. If the agent is logged out and there's no one logged in, what do you want it to do? Forward to a hunt group, auto attendant, or queue it. In this case, I've got them set all to queue. Down here at the bottom, there's a workgroup greeting. That's the greeting that's first played when the caller reaches the workgroup. No matter what, they always hear that greeting. That's called a workgroup greeting. Let's jump over here to queue handling. I'm going to skip voicemail and members. We kind of covered the functionality already. So queue handling. When a call is queued, how do we want that call to behave? And what we can do is we've got 5 different steps here for queue handling. At the top, I've also got some data on calls in queue warnings. If I get more than 3 calls in queue, you'll get a warning. That's for administrators and supervisors. It'll kind of give them an alert sound on their computer and let them know there's a warning condition. Calls waiting time. If calls wait over 60 seconds, again, administrators are going to get kind of an alert letting them know, hey, there's a problem here. And then we get down to the steps. Before I do that though, allow agents to pick up from queue. You can have that on or off. If you have it on, agents can see all the people that are in queue. They can look at the caller ID because they'll see the caller ID in there, which I'll show you in a second, and they can kind of jump ahead. So theoretically, if you had a well-trained group of agents and you allowed the agents to pick up from queue, and they saw there was 8 callers waiting, and caller number 7 was a VIP client, they could kind of jump ahead and grab number 7 ahead of number 1. So you may or may not want that to be turned on. So once the calls are queued, what are my steps? Step number 1, I'm not going to skip it. I'm going to announce my estimated wait time, and I'm going to read or play this message. Now, this is not text to speech. You do have to record it. This is just kind of a placeholder for you to type in what you want to say. Then you record it from your phone, or you can import a WAV file. Those are your choices. We've got some professional voice recorders we can send calls to, or we can choose one of our team members, or you can do it. It's really easy. When you hit record, it's literally going to choose a phone, dial the phone, let you record it right over the phone. Do want to point out there is sometimes a glitch depending on the browser you use. And if you're not able to record because of a glitch in your browser, it's super easy. All you have to do is dial your phone, leave a voicemail, and export that voicemail as a WAV file and import it. Same kind of capability. Extra step, I know, but if you ever have that glitch, that's how you work around it. In addition to that, down here at the bottom, you've got a full auto attendant menu option. So in here, the prompt text says, "Thank you for contacting our support team. We'll be with you shortly. Appreciate your patience. Please stay on the line." That's our prompt. Instead, I could say, hey, thank you for contacting our support team. We'll be with you shortly. Or choose from the following 3 options. To exit the group and reach our operator, press 1. to leave a message for a callback from an agent when available, press 2, or to do a dial by name directory to call a team member, press 3. And then down here at the bottom, I can do all those things. I can go to, transfer to extension, type in the extension here. It'll show my extension. All the options are right there, super easy to do. So it's essentially a full auto attendant that's included in that Workgroup option. Then steps 2, 3, 4, and 5. You always leave 5 as not skipped because you got to have at least one step, and then it goes back to step 1 again. So steps 1 through 5, then back to 1. That's the way it works. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save. Those are my settings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize director, and I'm going to show you what it looks like from the user / supervisor standpoint. So here's my Connect client screen on the left. You'll see that here at the bottom, in addition to contacts and the other things I've got, which everybody has, I now have a Workgroups button here, and you'll see it was green. The reason it's green is I'm logged in. If I log out, this will update in a minute, and it'll show me as logged out. Now it's red. Red means I'm logged out. Green means I'm logged in. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. Now I'm ready to take calls. As a supervisor, I also have the ability to see all the groups that I'm a member of, how many calls are queued, the longest queued call, and the longest call. I can see all those settings. At the bottom here, I've got a wrap up button. A wrap up for an agent lets the agent have extra time between getting calls so that agent can go to CRM or enter notes or do whatever. You also have the option to change the alert sound, and there are some additional settings that you can choose. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and dial in that group. So hopefully you can hear this okay. So you'll see on here that it's a work group calling me. I'm logged in, ready to go, but I don't answer. So what happens?
Thank you for contacting our support team. We will be with you shortly. We appreciate your patience. Please stay on the line.
Your estimated wait time is 1 minute.
So I'm going to turn that down real low. What happened was I dialed into the work group. It came to my agent extension. I didn't answer after 2 rings. It queued the call. That's the behavior that we programmed, and it did what we asked it to. You'll see here now, it's ringing me again, right? Because I'm still logged in. I'm not logged out yet. I'm not going to answer. It's going to stay queued. There are settings in the director that I set. Now I'm getting an alert. I don't know if you heard that. It was a little ERP sound because I went over 60 seconds. So now I have a call queued over 60 seconds. Got my alert. So next time it calls me, I'll go ahead and answer it. Over here, you can also see which agents there are, which agents are logged in, what queues there are. So now it's ringing me again. This time I'm going to go ahead and click accept. So I've got these 2 phones side by side, so sorry for the feedback there if you heard that momentarily. So now I'm on a work group call. I'm live on it. You'll see there's no more calls queued. So calls queued equals 0. Nobody idle, nobody waiting. Here's the call that I'm on. And it says copy of ongoing. I've got a second phone on my desk. That's the name of it. I know it's not very creative. Sorry, that's just what it's called. I can also look at my call routing slip. See that Mitel training transferred to call. So we know that it came from a work group. When I'm done with this call and I click hang up, my wrap up period will start. And when I'm in wrap up mode, I cannot get another call. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and hang up. Now you can see I'm in wrap-up mode. I'm going to call the queue again.
Thank you for contacting our support team. We'll be with you shortly.
Because I'm in wrap-up, it won't send me the call.
Please stay on the line.
Your estimated wait time is 1 minute.
Now you'll see it pops up, the call coming in because my wrap-up is concluded. I'm not going to answer it. I'm going to let it sit there, but that's how kind of call queuing works. I have more agents. In agent 1 doesn't answer, it kind of goes on to agent number 2 and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect. And that is, in a nutshell, what it looks like from an agent/supervisor standpoint in Workgroups for call queuing. So kind of rehashing some of this, and then we'll jump into reporting real quick. Remember, in your routing, you really need to be, the distribution pattern is kind of the easy part. You need to be careful about these down here, kind of call forward conditions, no answer, busy. You got a separate one for busy and no answer. Do you want it to queue? Do you want it to go to an outside party? And then kind of forward after rings and so on and so forth. So all those options are there for you. Something I'm going to show you on another screen, I'm going to go ahead and pull up here, is a call flow report. Let me pull up my my BrightMetrics. This is a nice tool here. I'm going to choose Workgroups. I'm going to choose 1926. It's right there. I'm going to view the configuration. And this is going to show me in BrightMetrics the specific configuration of that work group. Kind of nice if you've got more complicated groups. This one's really simple, so there's not much to it. 1926 rings members. It's set to queue, ring longest idle, 2 rings per member. Ongoing's the only agent, so not that complicated. If I choose other work groups, let's go to this VCI main work group, view it. You'll see it'll show there's different members, different settings, and so on and so forth. If you've got auto attendant menus or if you've got call routing conditions, you'll see it kind of renders this diagram. This is very, very useful, especially if you're trying to troubleshoot call routing that you set up that may be a little bit unusual. This one, as you can see, has got a lot going on. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in here. I'm gonna drag it over to the right. Now this is BrightMetrics. I know not everyone has it, but if you do have it, these call routing diagrams are available to you. You'll see there's a VCI main work group. It goes first to an auto attendant, and then it gives you all these options, #0, 3, 4, 5, 9. If they go to any of these, it goes here. And then if they go, for example, to 4, it goes to an accounting group, which goes to Tange or .name directory. This one goes to our contact center service, which is not a work group, but you'll see it goes in here. Here's the members in that group. If they don't answer, kind of here's the members in group number 2. If it goes to this IRN instead, it can go to a help desk group. Here's that. Or you'll see there's a sales group. Here's that. So very detailed diagrams, kind of easy to get that data. Almost impossible to do this without this tool. So if you're looking to ever diagram, you know, call flows, this is what you want. Trust me, it's a lifesaver. So let me back up and then show you some regular reports. Let's go just do a regular workgroup report. Let me do a workgroup performance by agent. At the top here, I'll zoom in a little bit. At the top here, I can choose the duration. Let me make it 30 days. Work groups, I'm going to leave it at all. And then exit reasons, I'm going to leave it at all. Run report. So this will show me kind of all the work groups and all their statuses over the 30-day period. Frankly, we don't use work groups. We just use them for training. So not a lot going on here. We use call center instead. But let me go to hunt groups, and I'll show you we do have some action on those. So scroll down here to hunt group call disposition. Let me choose the same 30-day interval, hit check, all groups, all names, run report. This is, again, BrightMetrics. It shows me all my groups over here. all the members, all the calls they answered. I can also drill into it by clicking a plus symbol. Now it'll pull up just the sales group and give me more details. So here I am in that group. I could see abandons, I could see transferred. I can see there's 51 calls to the sales group in the last 30 days. These are the ones that John grabbed by day. I can click on, let's say, this one. And now it'll go to kind of a cradle to grave report. It'll show me the call came in, it was 8 minutes long. They went to the auto attendant, we were in for 7 seconds. They chose the sales hunt group after 5 seconds. John answered it. John was on the call for 8 minutes and the call was recorded. I can also see the caller ID. So very slick capabilities inside BrightMetrics if that's what you're using. We do have some separate BrightMetrics trainings and webinars. I'm going to skip out of this in a second, but I do want to show you in BrightMetrics, if you click this help at the top, some really cool stuff in here. They invested a ton of money in training. So there's help videos, which are on demand, which are very good. So you click on those. Let's say I want to do reports and I want to look at, let's scroll down to detail reports in cradle to grave. So this is a 3-minute and 33-second video. I can play it. There's the transcript. So kind of on demand. Additionally, though, you've got your training options. When you click on this one, BrightMetrics includes quite a lot of training, including training on dashboards, on on-demand reports, on administrator training. All these top 3 are free. You just click, let's say you want to learn about administrator training, you click that. It shows you the dates and times that are available for your free admin training classes. You just register, you attend, it's a live webinar, you can post questions and attend. It's very slick. So we use them all the time. So those are kind of your help options for BrightMetrics. And of course, we're here for you to help on BrightMetrics as well. Not doing BrightMetrics, let's look at the embedded reports. So embedded reports, right here in the Mitel Director tab, there's a reports kind of link. Over on the left, I click on reports, call details. That's where you're going to want to go. Under call details, you've got about a dozen canned reports built in here. Account detail, summary, so on and so forth. So I'm going to jump down here to Workgroup, and I'm going to look at the Workgroup agent detail report. It has a enter the Workgroup extension or range of extensions you want to report on. I'm going to leave it all. That reports on all of them. Enter the agent or range you want to report on. So you can filter it by, agents or groups. I'm going to leave that blank so it reports on all. And then the date is today, and the time is 24 hours. And I am going to show internal calls as well because I only dialed it internally. Run report. Take about 30 seconds. Just remember that when you're using the embedded reporting, it's running a report against your production database, which is in use during the day because people are calling it. So the time lag on here can be significant depending on how much reporting data you pull down. So if you were to, that was just from one day. If you were to pull it for 30 days or 90 days or however long, those things take a lot longer. If you want to use these embedded reports a lot, and that's something you want to focus on, and they're taking too long to run, let us know. And what we can do is set up a copy of the database. There's a process we can go through where it'll create a copy for you, and you run reports off the copy, not production, and they run, a lot faster. So what you'll see here is I've got a 2-page report from today. It shows you kind of general mailbox, and down here it shows you Mitel training. That was the one that I set up and that we dialed. So here you see there was a call at 9:32 a.m. I told you I set it up this morning. That's the test call that I made this morning before we started at 10. And then we see a call here at 10:47. That's the call that we did during the class. In that, it tells you the call duration was 58 seconds. It was queued in Workgroup for 15 seconds. I'm not sorry, it was queued for 1 minute and 31 seconds, and the total duration was 2 minutes and 44 seconds. Page 2 of that, there was also a test work group. Nick Canterbury is one of our Mitel techs. He was probably just doing something on his own. And then Steve Hall, same thing. He was probably just doing some kind of test on his own. We use our internal system for that testing all the time. So that's a 2-page report that's kind of built in. Not as pretty or slick as BrightMetrics, but it does get the job done. So you can do it with the embedded details. So that's what I wanted to cover for you today. I wanted to focus heavily on hunt groups and work groups. We've had a lot of requests for that. Tried to show you everything we could in the time that we had. I will stick around and continue to monitor chat and the questions window. If you've got any items you want me to try to cover, I'll throw them here in the end in our bonus time. For everybody else, that does conclude the content for today. We're going to record, it's been recorded. We're going to briefly edit it, post it on our YouTube channel, and we're going to send out a link to all registrants so they have it, so you can watch it or forward it or whatever to your colleagues when it's on our YouTube channel later today. Otherwise, have a great day. Thank you for all your support. Hopefully we can see you or talk to you again in person soon. So I'll stick around for another couple of minutes. If there's any questions, please let me know. I'd be glad to answer them for you. And also, hey, thanks to Sherry about your issue with the document. Brittany went ahead and sent you a direct link to that admin guide. Sorry it was down. I'm not sure what that was all about, but we're going to let Mitel know. Typically it works fine. So she sent you a link to the actual admin guide itself.
And I'll include it in the email when we send out for the recording as well, just so everybody has it, but try to figure out what's going on with the link.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Brittany.
No problem.
All right. Not seeing any additional questions and looking like everybody's dropping off. I'm going to go ahead and end the content for today. We'll post this on YouTube shortly, and I'll follow up with anybody that had a question to make sure they got their answers. Thanks again. We appreciate you attending, and we hope to see you all again very soon. Have a great day.